Hey guys, this is Ashley and Rest, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we're talking about receiving the bare minimum.
Yes, receiving the bare minimum. I guess let's start with do people actually know what their bare minimum is? I guess that is a good place to start with this topic because while we all walk around talking about yeah, that's the bare minimum, all of us have different levels of what is bare minimum for us.
Mhm.
So yeah, what is the
Hmm.
bare? Do you know what your bare minimum is when it comes to jobs, love, friendships?
What's funny is I definitely had never thought about that question until I saw you saw it. And so I was like, what is my bare minimum? I don't know. I'm scared to say because I feel like my bare minimum would be too low.
Mhm,
Like it should be higher than
mhm.
what it is in some circumstances. I think I'm getting better at it, but mm, I'm thinking about with jobs. I'm like, I mean, to an extent, but also just was in such a crazy situation. I feel like I can't can't say nothing anymore. Like, oh, the bare minimum is that I get paid. No, the bare minimum is that which the bare minimum should be
I'm gonna say, was that the
hey,
bare minimum? Was
exactly,
that
exactly,
the
exactly. That's the problem. So I can't even say that. So I have no idea. Apparently, I'll accept anything from a job. No, that's not true. No, I have a high tolerance for BS, but when I switch stuff up, it's pretty abrupt. But yeah, so with I guess, yeah, with a job, I definitely feel like I have a bare minimum in terms of like the environment and how I'm treated.
Yeah,
Like I don't like I'm definitely never okay with a job like mistreating me.
you have
Period.
emotional bare minimals
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah, that
around.
type of stuff. When people are like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah," and then my boss yelled at me, I'm like, "She did what?
Girl,
Ain't no
girl.
damn way." Like, I just can't that type of stuff is a no.
I had a conversation recently with somebody. This was just a couple of weeks ago, and they were telling me about a conversation they had with their boss. Same thing, and they're like, and they yelled at me, and I was like, "Do you not know how to reach the EOC?" Like, I'm so quick to be like, "We gotta get some other people involved." Oh, you. This is what you thought was gonna happen. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. So that's definitely not no mess I would tolerate. That's a I guess a bare minimum is like, what would you, like, absolutely not tolerate?
Yeah.
And love? I mean, I don't know, it's hard for me to answer. I feel like my standards are pretty high now. Actually having a good partner where it's like, "Wow, you make this seem so easy. Why was I okay or trying to make work so much less than this?" Hmm.
Can I just say, when you started, you're like, "I don't know, I feel like I have a little bare minimums." I was like, "I feel like mine are high," and especially with love, because 'cause y'all be telling me, I be telling y'all, "They gotta," and you be like, "Girl." I'm still thinking about when I told you guys, my dream proposal and everybody was just like,
A
"Okay, so that's
house.
unrealistic. That's unrealistic. I need you I need you to lower your standards just a little bit."
Mhm.
No, but I think you have good love standards. I think even before, I think you know what? I'll say this. I think with jobs, it's easier to have a bare minimum because for most of us, it's a means to an ends. So it's like if I'm not I need to be paid this much, I need to be able to do this, I need to be able to get this, da 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 da, so I can get a house, so I can do so if you're not
Mhm.
doing these things, boom, I can set these boundaries. I feel like with love and friendships, it's hard because you can start off with some, but over time, because emotions get involved, they fluctuate. And I think that's where people get in trouble when it comes to bare minimals in love. Because we can start off with I gotta be with somebody that it's romantic, it takes me on good dates and blah, 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 and then y'all be, 4 years into it, and now I love you, I spent 4 years, we talk about marriage. Do I really
Mhm.
wanna start all over, even though
Yeah.
now my bare minimum is not being met anymore?
Yeah. But that also speaks to, like, your bare minimum, I guess, changes on some things or probably, different dynamics bring out different things, which I don't know, should it?
I don't like that.
I
Mm.
mean, again, maybe it also though depends on what your bare ass minimum. Like when it comes to love, I think about an older woman who was talking to me about her marriage once, and she was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, he never beat me, and he always kept a job."
Lord. Lord,
And that was like a,
there's a
yes.
certain women that I just wanna hug. Like, I just like, I wanna
Right.
hug them, but then also I'm just like, "No, I don't want any of your advice. That's
But
okay."
it's like, yeah, if your bare minimum is that he be employed and he don't beat you know,
He's
then
a
maybe
good
it's okay.
man, Savannah. Just
Then, I mean, then sky's the limit, I guess.
mm,
Or
mm.
yeah, then you have plenty of room, for things to get pretty bad there. I don't
Shenanigans.
know, man.
Shenanigans. There leaves plenty of room for shenanigans.
As long as he always come home to me, that one is the craziest one. I don't care what he doing, who he with, as long as he coming home to me.
I know who he come home to.
I know who he come home to, girl, not a flex. Whew.
And you know what? Like, what kills me about that mentality of like, at least he know he come home to is like it be for the bummiest dudes. Like it's not even like a situation where it's like, girl, he paying my student loans off, my mama's student loans off. He we vacation. Like, and not to say like that makes it worth it for some people, but like just to like
Yeah.
literally does not bring anything to the table, like
Mhm.
nothing, and instill loyalty is too much.
Mhm.
Like, but it's free. But it's for
Mhm.
free. Like, he ain't bringing nothing else. Like, his arms are free to bring the loyalty. He's carrying nothing else. Why can't he at least drop the loyalty off?
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyhow, yeah. So, okay. So we got some. What about friendships?
I think my it's just that they be a good friend. And the friendships. I don't feel like I have bad friendships. I'm trying to think about like I don't know, because it would be hard to set a bare minimum for
There are
friends.
some. Trust me, there is definitely some bare
I
minimum
mean, yeah, but
friendships.
I just don't have these like I'm trying to think about the friendships that I have and I'm like, I feel like they're pretty in depth, like they're
Mhm.
not very surface level. So it's kind of like
But have you
I
never
guess
had
maybe
to cut people off because, like, okay, it's
yeah, they
okay,
just
then that's your
but
bare
they're
minimum.
gonna just like but those weren't because of like bare I guess yeah, the bare minimum is like reciprocation
Mhm.
in the friendship. I would say that. Yeah, if I felt like I was the only person, making sure that we communicate or showing up for things or whatever and it wasn't reciprocated, that would definitely be like so yeah, reciprocation is the bare minimum. Honesty, I don't know, it's a big one, which doesn't seem like something you would even have to say, but people are trifling out here. As I'm discovering. I'm not thankfully mistakenly befriending any of these folks, but they apparently exist out here. So yeah, reciprocation and honesty.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
I think those are
Mhm.
some pretty good ones. I feel like
Mhm.
with work, I have pretty good bare min I mean, I know what my bare minimum standards are when it comes to work. You know, the typical like, uh, I will be paid. I will like my hours are to be honest with you, I'm really the problem with work. Like I
What?
no, because I'm thinking about all the issues I have had with work, and it's not necessarily the job wanting to do it. It's more my personality of being like do this and da da da. And the next thing I know, I'm like over it. Like I work crazy hours, but I set my own schedule.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it the job that's the problem, or is that really just a me problem? Because like no one is telling me I have to take clients at night. So like, yeah, I feel like with me, work it's more of a like me issue. But I mean, because also like I'm thinking like payment. Like, there's no way you can convince me. Like, I think about those folks that one agency, I'm not gonna say the name. They got their clinical license making $40,000 a year. Ain't no way in hell.
That is yeah. I do have a bit
Like,
of a
I don't get me wrong, I think I'm worth way more than I'm getting paid now.
yeah.
But like at the minimal, you're
Mhm.
not about to have me making what I was making at 21.
Mm-mm. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Like it's one thing
Right.
if I'm doing that for like 6 months just so I can get it in and move up to it. So there's people like that's their whole career. Like, no.
Yeah.
No. So definitely I think when it comes to work, those type of things, and I think with friendships, I definitely have a lot of bare minimal type things. I was talking to someone recently and we were talking about a friendship of theirs and for them, it was like, "But this is the closest person to me," and they're like, "And we've known each other for so long. I can't just let this friendship go." And I'm like, "When's the last time you felt comfortable with this person, though?"
Mhm.
Like, for me, comfort is a big thing,
Mhm.
and not that it's a big expansive thing because I definitely only like to give pieces and parts of myself to people. I still struggle with giving myself as a whole to people, but I have to feel comfortable around you. Like,
Mhm.
I don't understand friendships where it's like the walking on eggshells, and this is,
Yeah.
like, my friend.
Yeah. It's like, what is the point?
Yeah, yeah, or I don't understand friendships where it's like don't get me wrong, I definitely feel like I say this all the time, there's categories of friends. There's some friends that's your party friends, like, we go out, we have fun.
Mhm.
I cannot have a deep conversation with you, and that's okay. That's just not what you're there for. But I think, like, there like you said, that reciprocity of, like, if you come to me and you can seek solace, I should be able to seek solace in you sometimes as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then also, I feel like the same thing with relationships that relationships I feel like I know what my bare minimum in relationship is, and, a lot of that can be described, by a feeling, though. Like, the minute I feel like I gotta, like me and you talked about this before, and you said it, I think you termed it perfectly. The minute I feel like I can't tell my homegirl the whole story because I feel like Imma sound stupid,
Mhm.
I gotta back away. Like, I gotta back
Mhm.
away. Like,
Mhm.
I have to feel like whatever I have going on between you and me is good enough that I don't feel stupid. The minute I feel like,
Man got me out here
"I
looking like,
can't tell
"Oh."
me this part," she gonna look at me like, "You did what?"
Mhm.
The minute you have me acting like, I'm embarrassed to even tell my homegirls I did that, nah.
Fool in love. Dun, dun.
Let me tell you, because 'cause don't get me wrong, I'm very private about, like, romantic relationships, but,
Mhm.
like, it's still my homegirls know, like, I'm dating. They still know, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is this this is kinda the situation." They might not know
Mhm.
all the details, but shoot, and I know, I mean, you let me know, have you ever been that homegirl, have you ever had a homegirl who, like, every time they catch you up, you're like, "Hold on, wait. Am I missing parts?" And then they're like, "I mean, so okay, so"
Mhm.
and then they have to because
Mhm.
they kept leaving chunks out, then
Mhm.
now when they want your advice on this, whatever the next thing is that they did, you like,
Yeah. They
"Hmm,
can't seem to explain like, "Well, wait, how did y'all both get there? How did you" they
mhm,
telling you about an argument they had, you're like, wait, how did you have this interaction with this person you not they was at the what?"
girl,
Okay.
girl."
You break it all the way down, they live together. You're like, "Wait a minute. Wait, I thought it was fuck him last night. How did we get here?"
Or
Mhm.
but here's the thing, sometimes it's not I mean, oh my gosh, the stories I have heard, like, okay, so, like, you pregnant, okay, so y'all about to do 6 baby moms. When did he get 6 baby moms?
Oh, the
Do
things that
we
are
know he got
conveniently
6
left out?
the details, they leave
Yeah.
out because they're like, "I can't." Nope, the minute you start having me being like, "You know what?
Yeah.
As as long as it's not my own personal trauma, because sometimes I be doing that for my own bullshit.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, you just conveniently left out that he was married twice prior to. Interesting thing that you done told us, especially the people who really tell so much, just like, now you can tell me all about his business and what y'all got going on in your bedroom, but you didn't mention that he got 2 first wives.
Look, the way I know that is exactly what's happening with whoever is married to my dad now. There's no way I can marry my dad now, and you telling them the full story. I refuse. You don't have girlfriends that love you. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so for me, like the bare minimal is like I at my level of comfort, normal level of comfort. My bare minimal is I have to be able to feel like whatever I'm experiencing with you is
Mhm,
something I don't feel ashamed of. Bare minimal. Yeah, emotional.
mhm,
I feel like, yeah, a lot of emotional, like, bare minimals. Like, there's
mhm,
bare minimals of like effort, reciprocity. Oh, you know what another one of my new bare minimals are? I can't feel like your therapist.
Oh, that's yeah.
At the bare minimum, I need to feel like your girlfriend, not your therapist.
At the bare minimum.
That's the bare
That's a
minimum.
pretty high, like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Got some personal stuff going on with me, but like that's
But
the
there's some people who, I mean, but overall, like, there's just people who just need to raise their, like, you need to feel like your person likes you. That seems crazy to say, but that needs to
ooh.
be added in because there was like, I didn't like deep dive into it, but there was like a conversation thread chain kind of going on TikTok a little bit of like, um, women talking about like when they realized that their boyfriend didn't like them, like, leading up to a breakup. I'm like, oh, the day that he, didn't come to the hospital after my car accident, or like the day he, I don't know, or they look back and look at pictures and see weird shit he was doing. Like,
Yeah,
that's like, I don't know, you should feel like your person likes you.
at the bare minimum.
I
You
would
should
say
not be in a relationship still questioning how they feel about you.
I would say, and it has to be said because you know what? I have been that person that's like trying to convince myself, like, even though he did this and he said that, I know he loves me. And maybe he do, but is that what the fuck I want? No.
Mhm.
No, I should not have to dig and hunt and pick to know how you feel about me.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like at the end of the day, you should be able to tell if yeah, if your person like well, it's like, yeah, did you see the thread on I think it was on Twitter, but I saw it on Instagram and like TikTok of like men being like, oh, that awkward phase where you start hating your partner and the
Well,
things
that's
you
what I
start
was
doing.
yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. There's a
Okay.
bunch of women, even well, from the other side of it, that there was a bunch of women talking about how they realized their boyfriends didn't like them. But yeah, yeah, I did see that thread of like, yeah, men like when she, you know what though?
Mm.
When I read that, and what I read was like a small little few little tweets, but it really didn't seem very different to the types of comments I see women make all the time about like being annoyed by men breathing and existing and just things of that nature. And
Okay.
so it was kind of like, I mean,
So
I
we
think
gotta
it
see
feels
different
more true.
ones.
No, I was gonna say I think it feels more true because yes, because like I said, we do see it where it's like people will literally be in relationships with women that they hate and
Mhm.
will talk shit about them and then go home and live with these people. Like it happens. But also, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, the specific thread that I read, it was kind of more like I was like, but I mean, this reads more like being annoyed with just like this other person and how they act at times. But
But see, the ones I was coming across was like men being like, knowing that you want to break up, so you just keep doing stuff, hoping
oh
that
yeah,
she breaks up with you,
that is
so you're
cynical.
not the bad guy. Like to me, that's more than just like annoyance. That is like you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
probably
that's different.
yeah. Some guy had posted about how like it was this girl. I can't remember what it was. Something that was like really important to her. And so he was like, "Yeah, I just like wanted her to like know we're finally done. I give up." He was like, "So I didn't show. I told her I was gonna be there. I knew all her family was gonna be there, and then I just did not show up." Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was more than just annoying.
Yeah.
It was like,
That's like, I hate you and I want you to feel it. That's not cool. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't like that. I want better for all of us. But also, can I just say, like, if I'm ever the mother to a young man
Mhm.
and I find out he out here on Beyonce's internet telling people, like, don't have people thinking that I raised that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it sucks because you're not in control of them. They go off and become their own little people very early. At like 2, they become their own little person. You have no control over that personality. You like to
Mhm.
think you do. You keep trying to steer them towards your things, and they're like, "Nah." So you don't have control. You can try to teach them so well, but I just kept thinking like, "Oh, I would be so embarrassed if I was their mothers." I promise you I did not do that. I tried my best. So,
But yeah, when I think about like people accepting the bare minimum, I also think though about what was there was a TikTok you sent me. It was sliced from like of a woman planning her own, setting up her own proposal. And, like, I remember when I saw the original clip of that, like, I remember reading the comments, and of course, there were plenty of women who were like, "Hell no, what type of lazy shit is this?" And like, blah, blah, blah. But there were also a lot of people who were like, she's a planner, and, like, I would love something like this because I would want things to be perfect, and so that would mean, like, I have to do it, like, I just that's gonna be a no, like,
No.
how bare ass minimum can you be than to book your girlfriend to I think he's, like, scheduled it, she's, like, actually, like, an event planner or some shit, and
Yeah.
I think he, like, booked it or something and then, like, showed up and proposed. That is disgusting.
I was so pissed when I seen that, and that's why I sent it to you because I was just like, "I."
And, she was happy as all get out to be engaged, but yeah, I would call that I would call that accepting the bare minimum, like,
Yeah. Even if you're like, "Oh, but I'm a control freak and I like things a certain way," why wouldn't you just make sure that a professional did things the why wouldn't you pay attention to things that I really like and then have someone else do the labor to
yeah,
make sure it's exactly
yeah.
to my taste?
Right, right. If that's the case, then you just need to work extra hard to get these specifications underway, not just like, "Oh, well, I'll just make it well, then why not?" Like, that seems like if we're talking about, like, setting the tone for a marriage, that's very much like, well, I mean, you make it better, you know?
Oh, oh my gosh.
Like
Weaponized incompetence.
mhm,
Ooh, ooh,
mhm.
yes,
That's
yes.
you
Okay,
cute, like,
let's
that's
add
some
that to the
family
bare
shit.
minimum list. Be competent. Be competent.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
competent in, like, adult human interactions.
Mhm.
Can we
Mhm.
have that as a bare minimum? Can we
Mhm.
do that? Because yeah, oh my gosh.
There are lots of people accepting far less than a capable adult, and I don't know why you would do that to yourself. It's exhausting, and everyone thinks it's cute till they have kids, and then I think about that video, there was one other there was one other one going around a while ago of, like, a woman who was like, "I choose to view this situation differently," and she's, like, cleaning up, and her husband's, like, playing, like, the kids are helping her clean up, she's cleaning up, and her husband's, like, on a scooter, like, bullshitting around the house, and she's like, "He's so fun, and he just makes everything happy," and people are like, "Girl."
The way that we already as women there's so much let me not speak for all women. I already have to do so much mental gymnastics
Mhm.
just to make it through the day on regular shit, you know? Just like regular like, the world is crumbling around us, but let me CBT the way to happiness." Like, I already have to do that. I don't wanna
Mhm.
do mental gymnastics in my home to
Right.
make me be like, "It's fine. It's
He's fun.
he's fun." I think it's cute how much he depends on me for everything. It's it's like he needs me, and that's kind of like, I really want that. No, no. I had a conversation with a girlfriend who was asking me like, "Okay, why do I see so many people break up when they have a kid together and the kid's an
Mhm.
infant?" And it was like and she was like,
Mhm.
"It's people who been together for years, and what is the change?" And of course, there's
Mhm.
many reasons, there's lots of reasons. But one of the
Mhm.
ones I brought to her, I said, "There's something about having to take care of another human being
Mhm.
and then recognizing that, oh crap, one, for the person who's incompetent, them recognizing like, oh, they don't have time to take care of me as much. And that might have been the whole dynamic that they didn't necessarily realize. But also for the person who is like the caretaker type personality of
Mhm.
like taking care of another human being, thinking we're a partnership, we got this, and then recognizing like, oh no,
Mhm.
you are additional thing I have to worry about now.
Mm. You make things harder.
You make things harder. It's easier to do this without you than it is to do this with you.
I can
And
imagine.
that is not the case for everybody. There's definitely all types of
Yeah.
situations that happen. But she was pointing out a very particular situation, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's definitely what happened in that case." I was like,
Mhm.
I was like, but also, again, when you don't have big responsibilities, especially couples when they're young and they don't
Mhm.
have big responsibilities yet, again, you can ha 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 ha, he's so goofy. Ha 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 ha. It's that's just what he's like. And or you don't even necessarily notice because like I don't rely on you to,
Mhm.
you know, cook dinner while I'm pumping.
Mhm. Mhm.
We've never been put in a circumstance where I am dead tired and I'm so very serious when I ask you to do this thing and then you make a joke out of it. Different circumstances kind of make you realize different things.
Mhm. Yeah.
And walking together with people, I think, independently versus when you have kids, there's certain things that if I don't have kids, yeah, I can deal with. It's just a minor
Oh, yeah.
annoyance. Once you have kids, it is like, this is life or death. If the zombies are after us, we gonna die because of you.
Yeah. I remember noticing that, with when my mom was married, it was like well, prior to her being married, it was like my stepdad was a broody kind of person, and he could get an attitude about something, and he could attempt to be controlling, but my mom's kinda free-spirited, so she would just kinda laugh it off.
Yeah.
And then once she had my sister and she saw it transferring to her, like him kind of treating her a certain way or trying to control my mom's whereabouts through, "You got my child." That type of stuff. I feel like that's when she was like, "Oh, nah."
Mhm.
Because she could ignore it. She could be like, "Okay, whatever, he just got a bad attitude today." But when you get an attitude with the baby, or you're too willing or because of your bad attitude, you don't go pick the baby up from daycare, you choose to just like, you take it out in ways that, like, impact the child as well or just completely inconvenience our whole parenting dynamic.
When you're unreliable, but I'm highly independent, eh,
Mhm.
but now we're parenting this little thing together, and
Yeah.
I need you to step up on certain parts because I can't be 2 places at once, and now your unreliability is an issue.
That's heavy. You put it that way, I'm like, "Yo, that's real." Because you are absolutely right. Like, when you're highly independent, when a person is there is not a lot of room for that other person to be unreliable. Because I know me, I am the type of, like, I'll give you a shot, but, like, yeah, the minute you or if I don't feel like you can handle something, like, I'm not going to trust you with it. Why? I can just do it, and it'll be done right, and then I don't gotta deal with the fallout of you.
And it's one of those things that I think you gotta be mindful of if you are a highly independent person, because
Mhm.
you don't recognize it, because
Mm-mm.
I'm not really counting on you for stuff anyway.
Mhm.
So unless it's a big thing, it might slip past me. But now you get yourself in a my longest relationship was like that where, still amazing human being, just not my person, but, like, I really didn't rely on many for anything until we moved in together, and then everything annoyed me.
Mm.
Everything annoyed everything, like, little things I kinda knew, but,
Mhm.
like, didn't pay close attention to. Now
Mhm.
we live in the same space, so when you do it now, it affects me.
Mhm.
Change dynamics. It
Mhm.
really kinda and again, it was one of those situations where I was like, "How did I not catch on to this?" But it was like, "'Cause I really didn't need to pay that much attention to it before."
And thinking about someone trying to make it I mean, accepting the bare minimum, like, can a person even survive off of the bare minimum? I guess not even just in relationships, but just, like, if you're operating with that mindset, I guess.
I feel like sometimes, yes. I think as long as it's not a lifelong habit. Because
Mhm.
again, talking about how we I mean, thinking about to like a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about flow of like sometimes like maybe you're in a relationship and they meet all your standards or whatever, and then it's been 2 years and y'all go through something. There's ebbs and flows. There's gonna be times where just because of life, the effort people put in or might be able to realistically is gonna change. And
Mhm.
so I do, but there still should be a bare minimal. Like you're not gonna put your hands on me or whatever. Those things. So like I don't care what you got going on. At the very least, you not gonna do this. I do think there can be times that we can survive. I just don't think that should be a lifetime set range. I think
Mhm.
you can allow for times for being bare minimal, or there can be different areas where, like, maybe in my job, I'm just getting the bare minimum right now, but I'm having, great love. I'm having great friendships. I'm having great community, like all my other needs. I think it can be woven in there because I think it's unrealistic. We want to say to everybody, like, yes, and go out, get the best of everything, the most. And it's unrealistic.
Mm.
What about you?
Mhm. I mean, yeah, no, I think like you said, like, it's not sustainable.
Mhm.
I think it's the point. Yeah, like, definitely can't I definitely don't think a person can thrive
Mhm.
only receiving the bare minimum of anything. you know? That means you're just getting enough to, I guess, survive and get to the
Mhm.
next moment or next day, and that's not really you can't really build off of that. So, yeah, no, that's what I would say. It's definitely not sustainable.
Okay, but when we're talking about the bare minimum, if you're getting a bare minimum in this area, does that transfer more responsibility to other parties? So,
If it's
like,
doing the bare minimum or accepting.
yeah, like, what if
Yeah.
it costs?
Yeah. I mean, I think everything has takes a certain amount of process and energy. And so yeah, if it's slacking it or lacking in one area, something's gonna be and I also believe in balance. So yeah, something is gonna be balanced out another way. Now, what that looks like, I think, of course, is gonna be different. So if you accept the bare minimum from your job, the balance probably might be that you be kind of burnt out in the end, or
Mhm.
your work doesn't feel worth your effort. Vice versa, though, if you go to work and you give your bare minimum, which depending on what that is, right? Like your bare minimum could be I show up, I complete my task, I clock out when it's time to go. Some people bare minimum is, I show my face, I I let people know I'm here, and then I dip out before people start asking me to do things. If that's your
Mhm.
bare the balance on the other side of that is gonna be like, you could potentially lose your job. You'll never move forward. There's things are gonna balance out.
Well, but you know what? I think it's not fair for people to
Or
lose their job for bare minimum because, like, y'all
well,
set
no, no,
the
no.
bare minimum standard. Y'all said, "Show up, do these notes, see these people," and I did that.
Oh, well, that's why I
Why am I
said
being
it depends
punished?
on what your bare minimum is, right? Like, yeah, your bare minimum is gonna be I'm not gonna like traumatize my clients, I'm gonna give them good service, I'm gonna blah blah blah. That's my bare minimum. Somebody else's could be, I don't know, barely mustering empathy, and and literally just showing their face on a virtual call while they're snacking or something like that like it's gonna balance out somewhere, whether that be and it may not even be as direct, like but I just am a believer of, like, balancing, like, what you put out in the world is like yeah, so if you wanna be out here doing bad therapy with folks, that ka that karma, I don't know, it's gonna come back somewhere.
Okay,
You know
so
what it
I'm
makes me
not talking
think
about
of?
therapy.
I mean, not specifically,
Yeah,
I just use that as an
I know,
example.
I
I'm
know.
saying, like, a person, because you know what it made me think of? Is
What?
The Sixth Sense, and not that that man was necessarily doing bad social working, but I don't know if you
Makes
remember, he
sense.
came you remember did you watch The Sixth Sense?
Girl, when I was like 7?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, homeboy, Bruce Willis, was a social worker, and that was his client that came and shot him at his damn house.
Girl, I don't even remember him being shot, so okay.
He was shot in the beginning of the movie. That's the whole point of the movie, girl, that he's
I
dead.
just
He
remember the
died.
kid. I just remember the kid. Yeah.
The whole premise of the movie is that he was dead the whole time,
Okay.
but he was shot
Okay.
by his client. He was literally winning a war for being a good social worker, and his client came to his house and shot his ass. 'Cause
I
he didn't feel
mean,
like he got proper care. And, that could happen to any of us, but
that's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope. Because of our population that some of us work with, you can be doing great
right, I mean,
care.
it can happen, just to be honest, but just I say that to say, I
Okay.
think things have a strange way of balancing out, and it may not always be super direct.
Well, but
Um, but yeah.
I'm thinking more of like, let's say you work at a call center and you're there, like you got to answer 30 calls a day. You got to log the calls. You got to put the people in contact with the whatever, whatever. You got to make the referrals and you got to lead. You can't lead. You got to be here at 7. You can't lead to 5. That's the bare minimum. Like, that's the bare minimum of your job. And it's like, okay, I do that. I'm not putting money in for nobody's birthday. I'm not going to nobody's retirement party.
Mhm.
I'm not forwarding emails. I'm not giving y'all my no, I did y'all said this is what y'all needed me to do at the least to keep this
And you
job,
won't be
and I
punished
did
for that, but
my
then
job.
when they're like, "Who do," but you know what the other side of it is, the balancing part is like, yeah, when they're having certain conversations about changing this, you
Mhm.
not there. When they thinking about who to promote, they're like, "I don't know, I never really know much about her. Just know she does her
Mhm.
job,"
I
you
mean, but
know?
I think for people who put in the bare minimum, they're not looking for promotion. They're not
I mean,
like,
yeah, no, you're
"You're
right.
right, you're right, you're right, you're right."
I'm just
Like,
talking
what
because
was that?
the other side of it, like, yeah, because what you described is I show up, I come, I do my job. If you show up and let's say you're a part of a team and you're doing less than your job and then your work falls on the other people, like resentment from your coworkers, like there's gonna somewhere it's
Somewhere in the
gonna
line,
come
it's
up.
gonna fall off.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I look, I hear you. I hear you.
But yeah, I think our central theme though is that everybody has a different barrier for their bare
Bare
minimum,
minimum.
I suppose.
I definitely think though there is a cause for long term doing bare minimal. I don't really, to be honest with y'all, like especially these big corporations, like y'all do the bare minimum. I don't care. I really do not care. Like whatever cost they got to pay, let them pay it. They ain't paying you enough. But I do think when it comes to human interactions, that's when you have to be very, very careful about the cost that doing the bare minimal can have on you or accepting the bare minimum. Because kind of like as she said, like if we're in a relationship and I'm taking on the toll of like making this thing work, that's how you get burnout. That's how you get resentment. Even the same thing in friendships. If I'm the friend that always calls you, that always checks on you, that always makes sure you're good. I made sure somebody told you happy birthday this year. I made sure that all these things, and like at the bare minimal, all I get is like a text back, but like
Mhm.
no effort in the conversation. Like if I call, I mean, you might pick up and talk. I
Mhm.
mean, you don't show up to my birthday, you don't show up to any of my stuff, but like you invite me when you have stuff. That's how you get resentment. That's how you get people that want to kind of like pull back. And that's how you get that like this is an energetic exchange that feels very heavy and I don't like it.
Mhm.
And I think that's why it's important to know what your bare minimum is so you don't get caught up in that loop, if not even less than that. Because again, sometimes people end up in these situations where you be like, looking back, I don't even know what they brought to the table. I don't even know what they gave me. Like I asked for nothing and they gave me less. I don't know why I was there because you didn't take a look at like, okay, this is what you at the very least need to be doing. You waited until they did not do that stuff and then was like, something feels off. Let me detect and gadget, figure it out.
They call this post well, like, that post-breakup clarity, like, "What? Like,
Mhm.
I was accepting what?" Like I said, I know that's how I feel
That's a
sometimes.
thing.
Yeah, you're just like, "Why was I okay with this? What the like,
Yeah.
I remember back to some situations, I'm like, "What hold was
Look,
on me?
there
Lord."
there was somebody I cared about a lot, right? I really, really cared about them a lot. And I ended up walking away from them. And like afterwards, Meek was like, hey, so like when you're done with people, you're done. So I feel safe to tell you this, but like I never liked them. And I was like, what? And like, so you and Neek know each other, but not know each other. But like Neek is not the friend that tells you those type of things.
Mhm,
Like Neek's very like tries to be neutral and like kind and just like I don't
mhm,
Neek doesn't like conflict.
mhm.
So for her to tell me that, I was like surprised, like, what do you mean? And she was like, oh yeah, I did not like him. I did not like him for you. And then she went through the things that in my head, that's not how I viewed them at that time.
Mhm,
Kind of just
mhm,
that again, that post breakup clarity. That I was like, you are right. You
mhm.
did do that. I don't I think I thought this when it happened, but like, girl, you right. You right. I should have left then. I was tripping. I thought that was me being mature and growing spiritually and like being emotionally available, but like that was me putting up with some BS. You right. You right.
What friends are for, to remind you some things, highlight some stuff like, "Hey, friend, do you see what you was doing right here?"
Going back to what we said earlier of like sometimes again while you're in the middle of things, you can forget like what your standards are.
Mm,
Because now you got love. 'Cause
okay.
now like they missing these steps, but also surrounded by all these lovey fuzzy things that feel really, really good. Um, which is why I do appreciate having friends that every now and then can just be like, "Hey, girl, he had you crying on your birthday. I don't what we doing? What we doing here?" She need that. 'Cause sometimes you can forget when you don't know your own standards.
Mhm.
Anyways.
You're right, you do need friend I appreciate having friends who can have real conversations with me. Because me and a friend of mine were talking yesterday about, like, who's supposed to tell you certain stuff, like, who tells you, "Hey, your breath stinks, or like, hey, you didn't handle that great. Like, who gives you the honest, true? And it just seems like because even how you come across certain people and you're just like, I just feel like you're this way because no one has really
Been honest
told,
with you?
yeah, like no one's really been real with you. And maybe they just choose to avoid you, or maybe, whatever, they're just dance around it or whatever the case may be, but it's like, you're just like, I feel like if you had good real people in your life, they would let you know that this is not okay. Okay? Because there's so many people that I don't know, I've just been in enough situations where I've been the first person to tell somebody something and I'd be like, "Really? You've been carrying on like this for how long and I'm the first person to call this out?" Like, so if you think that they should know better, they probably don't. Maybe no one ever said it. People go through life, they make up their own rules for shit. I don't know. Things get weird.
Yeah, and my whole thing is if it's important enough. I don't think everything needs to be called out. I don't think
No, of
everything
course
needs to be
not.
addressed. No, 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 I know that's not what you're saying. I'm just thinking in my head, like, because when you're like, "Yeah, I feel like I say," and I'm thinking to myself, like, has there been things that I have just, like, came out and just been like, "Your breast stink." I know nobody has told you, but, like, in my head, I'm just like, "I see
Okay,
what
but
you."
who would you tell? Okay, so but let's say, right, you probably you wouldn't say that to a friend, but you would probably say that to your daughter.
I won't
Hey,
tell her her breast stinks, but I do say, "Hey, we brush our teeth today?"
you gonna
Yeah.
handle that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely tell her,
And
"Hey,
as
we
she
brush
gets
our."
older, and one day you're gonna have to say, "Hey, you need to go put on some deodorant, baby. You a little must." But it's like no one ever says that.
Word.
I don't know. I always think of it's supposed to be the people like closest to you. And maybe that's how I sometimes even get myself in trouble with friendships. And not I mean, I don't have friends that I've had to have those types of conversations with about
Mm.
like hygiene. But like, no, that's not true. But like I would, and I guess it's because it's like I would want that. Like, who is supposed to tell me that? Like, if you come over here and something is like, okay, Ashley, that's kind of nasty. Why would you like tell me, please? Because I'm not gonna be as embarrassed if it's somebody that's close to me pointing
Yeah.
these things out, rather that than somebody who doesn't know me like that be like, "Oh, she just old." You
It's just nasty, and they keep that mind
right,
frame with
you're
them
right.
forever.
Versus a friend who might think, "Well, maybe she just don't know. Let me let her know." Somebody else might just be like, "Oh, she probably musty every day," versus my friend
So,
who just knows, "Hey, she having a rough day."
it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery, slippery, slippery
My
slope.
friends better than tell me, don't have me out here.
Then let's go back to, like, okay, how do people recognize when they're receiving the bare minimum? Because as we were talking about, like, looking at hindsight at certain situations and be like, but, like, is there ways to recognize that while you in the middle of it?
I think if you're feeling, especially if you're feeling yourself worn out, burnt out,
Mhm.
then yeah, somewhere you're not getting enough. The bare minimum is present.
I think that's probably number 1.
Mm.
Yeah, when you feel yourself getting burnt out or resentful, I would then check in whatever that thing is you're getting burnt out and resentful for. I would then like do a check of like, what do I need from this? What do I need from work? I want work where I don't feel like I hate getting up to do it. I want work I don't feel like I have to convince myself to do every morning. I want to be paid fairly. I want to not have to travel long distances, blah, blah, blah. And then I would do that check in like, okay, so am I actually getting that in here?
Mhm. Can I get that here? Like, is that even available here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
not to say that all your stuff is gonna be checked off, but, like, ask yourself at the least, "I need this." And what are the 1 or 2 things at least that you need? And are you getting that? And I think you can even do the same thing with, like, friendships and relationships as well. Like, when you feel yourself even, like, I'll use that therapy one. I was talking to somebody, and I remember, like, things going good, absolutely love their conversation, absolutely enjoyed talking to them, being with them, but started to, like, I felt myself wanting to ghost them, like, pull back. I felt myself wanting to, like, be heavy on the avoidance stuff. And I was
Mhm.
like, "Why am I feeling this?" And I was like, "'Cause you
Mm.
low key starting to feel resentful." And I was
Mhm.
like, "Okay, so why am I starting to feel resentful?" And I, like, just did this check-in. I'm like, "Okay," because I like their conversation, I actually really enjoyed them. And then I was that, like, but they take so much mental energy for me to converse with them. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, I have a good time, but also it was a lot of mental energy, and I don't feel replenished after giving away that energy.
Mhm.
So I might have some hee some ha-has, whatever, whatever, but all that energy I gave to you never gave it back to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which end up was a big part of how I ended up coming up with that rule of like, I can't feel like your therapist, where it's a one-sided exchange where only one of us get healing, one of us has a safe place, and the other person is just like, I have to be help them because they're so fragile. It'll be unethical for me to give them my stuff. Again, what was I missing? I was like, and at the very least, what do I need? I was like, at the very least, I need to not feel like a therapist. At the very least, I need to feel like what I give into you, I eventually get back.
Mhm. That's a good way to put it. Like, what is the very what at the least, what do you need out of, I guess, whatever situation it is? That's a way of solving it. But what's some other signs other than like burnt out? If you don't have time for yourself, if you feel like you're always
Mhm.
chasing,
Mhm.
and you don't have the ability to stop and be like, "Hey, this is my time here," or whatever. If you feel like you're constantly running and chasing things, then yeah, somewhere, there's
Mhm.
probably the bare minimum being accepted.
I agree. I'm even thinking of, as you were saying that, what came to mind to me is when you think about your satisfaction with whatever this thing is, job, person, thing, if your satisfaction is based on how it satisfies other people. So, like, if you're like, "No, because I make a big impact on the world, and look how much we're saving," and that all the stuff is actually other people based.
Mhm.
I think that can be a, big thing. I'm thinking especially of work, I feel like people, especially are like social workers, that's a thing I feel like I hear a lot of when I'm talking to people that are dissatisfied with their job, and you ask them about why they're happy, and they go about all these things that are great things that has nothing to do with them actually being happy. It's just
Mhm.
like, "Well, because 'cause we're making such a big impact, and we're helping the community, and we do so and oh my gosh, my clients, they love me so much, and, oh, they love this center so much," and you're like, "Okay, okay, I asked, are you happy? None of that have anything to do with your happiness."
Mhm.
So when, yeah, you're doing that checklist of why you're there, why you like it, and it's based on everything but things outside of you.
Mm.
And also on the flip side, because while we're talking about other people, we gotta do that self-check-in, we gotta do that accountability part of, like, also sometimes we need to check in on we are doing the bare minimal and why, and do that check-in of why.
Mhm.
Is there if we're both doing the bare minimal, is it because you don't really want to be there? And if
Mhm.
you don't wanna be there, can we see our way out of here? Whether that's a job, relationship, or a friendship, because when we do these type of conversations, I feel like we talk a lot about, like, and other people, but truth of the matter is sometimes we are the ones who are doing the bare minimal,
Mhm.
and that can needs to be changed sometimes too.
Definitely, like, and I think, like you were saying, if you do that assessment and you find that, like, you do wanna be where you are, or you want more out of whatever you have going on, then after that assessment, you gotta figure out how can you kick it up a notch.
Mhm.
Like we said, it's not sustainable, and things usually aren't gonna go far on just kinda the bare minimum, and
Yeah.
that's in all things, like, yes. I mean, again, I'm not advocate for doing the most at work, but if
Mhm.
you
Look.
you know, it may take a little bit more effort, a little more in your relationships and your friendships. Like, can you do more? If you
Yeah.
decide these relationships are important to me. Like I know, I know recently for me, it's been like, wow, my family is important to me. Like,
Mhm.
and I was doing the bare minimum. I can't come if you guilt me. But I started to being like, I can do a little bit more. I can reach out.
Yeah.
I can do more. I can, try to be more present. I can come to the little things too. And that's like deciding that that's important to me. I think, yeah, if you're in a relationship or you're pursuing one, if you're like, "Look, this is something that's important to me," and you know that you half-assed, then, like, what else can you do? How can
Mhm.
you do how can you, do a little more to kick it up a notch and take it wherever it is you want it to go.
And on the flip side of that, if you find yourself in those and you realize I don't, let's
Mhm,
start looking at our exit plan. I have definitely been in relationships where I definitely did the bare minimum. Wasn't recognized I was doing the bare minimum, but then had to take a look and it was like, because it wasn't necessarily where I really wanted to be, but it was where I was comfortable. And
mhm,
that was not fair for that person. Because that's another thing. Just because people accept the bare minimum does not mean that you have to be a bare minimum person.
absolutely.
I have definitely been the person in a relationship doing the bare minimum and the other person was perfectly okay with it.
Mhm,
On
mhm.
some, not even on some like, well, no, this is all that they can do. They knew I was capable of more, but they were just like, well, this is what she's doing.
Dang.
So
And
I'll do more. And that wasn't cool or fair to them.
there is something to be said about feeling inspired or wanting to be,
Mhm.
and it's like, you shouldn't have to, like, wait around on inspiration from your partner, but also, like, yeah, if somebody's like, "I'm okay with, as long as you're here," and they just allow you to kinda deteriorate or not be that like,
Mhm.
that's a concern. Um, but also well, no, because now I'm thinking about people who just, like, always feel challenged by their partner. You're also not meant to be feeling like you're chasing behind your partner, like, "They got that, I gotta get it too. They're
Mm.
doing this, I gotta do it too. Whew, I gotta run and keep." I don't think it's meant to feel like that either. But, feeling I mean, I don't know, because I don't know, when I think about my relationship, I'm like, I don't feel like my partner does the bare minimum, so I would definitely be, no, I can't.
No, I have definitely been like in relationships where it was like, I'm here.
Mhm,
I let you claim me. I
mhm,
have told my friends your name. What else do you want? Like, I have definitely showed up in partnerships like, that's all you're getting. Like,
mhm.
emotional maturity, no. Why? I don't wanna do that. Even things like communication, and again, and we talked about this in other episodes of like, yes, you can meet a person and they can change your outlook and they can change your perspective and they can inspire you to want to do better, to want to communicate, to blah, blah, blah. But also to have that for yourself. Sometimes there's just things within yourself that you should want for yourself. Like, I
Mhm,
want to be a better communicator, want to be
mhm.
emotionally mature, want to do these things. Um, but it, I, it, it's as someone who has lived through it, let me tell you, it's real hard to do those things if you're somewhere you don't wanna be too.
Absolutely. That's some real like, we really you right. That's like a big thing to accept. Like when you start finding yourself slipping into I would say kind of your worst behaviors. Like I know for me, if I yeah, anything I'm avoiding, I have to stop and be like, what is going on? Okay, why are you not doing
Or
whatever it is? Why have you done 10 other things or found some roundabout way? Like, what are you avoiding, man? Because those are like my bad habits. When I start
mhm,
slipping into bad habits, there's something wrong. Something's up.
yeah. Well, I mean, even like you like, because I think like my work effort. I am a hard worker. When I wanna work for something, I care about something, I work really, really hard for it. I think even on the loving side, I know I keep giving these like, that was horrible." But, like, when I want it to be loving, I can be incredibly, incredibly loving.
Mhm,
So, that is one of those things that when I'm like, "You're being very mean. You're
mhm,
not being very, like, yeah, you are showing up late. You are not turning in things like that is so
mhm,
out of my character that it has to be like, okay, what's going on? Because now I can't even again, some of these things are yep, innate in your character. But other some of the other ones as well, you might have to work on, you might have to put in more effort into. It might not come naturally. It might have to be a learning curve. That's true, but, like, how much can you really put forward if you already somewhere you don't wanna be?
mhm, mhm.
So, also, realignment, because some people, they are capable of really great things, really great love, and the right environment can inspire things, and I know you have an issue with that because you don't like to go into the whole, like, people can change with different people, but I do think people change depending on who they're with. When a person is with a person they wanna be with, they will act more accordingly, especially if they know how to, and have the ability and capability to.
I was saying they can't. I just want to put out as a warning not to wait on them people.
Oh, no, 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 no,
Waiting
no.
around to be somebody's special unicorn. Okay?
No.
They ain't got it. Get the hell on. And then if they learn from your absence and they grow the fuck up,
Well, but also, like, are you the special unicorn? If when they come to you, they not acting
then
right,
that's
then you
great. That
not
would
the
be
unicorn.
wonderful. That would be wonderful. If somebody was to approach you and be like, "Damn, I see that I'm not ready for you. Let me go grow as a human." And then y'all, they if it comes back, it's yours. What is it? If they say if you love something, you're supposed to let it go, and if it comes back, it's yours. Which I don't think is true because some people just come back like a plague.
And I don't
Um,
believe in spinning the block. I do not believe in spinning the block.
but but I mean, but yeah, maybe you are a special unicorn. But do you have to go through all that and beat yourself down and I don't,
But I guess that's what I okay, okay. We have different definitions of special unicorn because my to me, special unicorn is like you come prepared, acting right. But yeah, I think the overall is also, it's not just other people, it can be you. And if it is you, do that check-in. Am I doing the bare minimum because this is not where I want to be? And if it's not where you want to be, find out where you want to be. Do not sit there and waste somebody else's time, whether that's lovers, that's friends. Like let's be a little bit more compassionate with the care that we give to folks. And like Ashley said, if you are like, no, this is where what I want to be, then okay, let's figure out how we can boost it up a bit. If you're doing the bare minimal, that means you are unbalancing the system where somebody's picking up the slack for you. And you don't want somebody picking up that slack so long that it grows into resentment or it grows into hate.
mhm.
So, with that said, that's all we have for today's episode. You can follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy, and we'll have a new episode for you guys next week. Bye.
Right.